Hi, welcome to today's session. My name is JC Smith. Welcome to How to Stop Arguments. And look, the reason that your relationship is going to break is because you don't understand how to stop an argument. So that's what we'll be covering in today's session. Bear with me just 1 second whilst I get the chat box going. So you can, it's 5 o'clock over here in the UK. Let me know where you're coming in from. Teddy's going to chat with everyone. Where you're coming in from. Can I get a hell yes? 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 Let me know where, like right now, what is the biggest challenge in your relationship? Oh, Colorado, Karen in the house. What is good evening, Gabrielle? What is the biggest challenge right now? Like, what is stopping you? And are you single or in a relationship? Just out of curiosity. Good evening, Sally. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Single, Sally. Cool, cool, cool. You're in the right place. Whether you're in a relationship or not, it doesn't matter, because if you don't understand how to manage conflict, how to manage arguments, how to manage disconnection, then it's never going to get any better, right? So look, on today's session, I'll ask any questions at the end. You can see the chat box. Single, Patrick, hey buddy, welcome, thank you. Romania, Gabriel in the house. Nice to have you lot. Okay, so just let me know if you can see the screen okay. Let me know if you can, well, let's see. Let's, 1 second, let me just get that down a bit. There we go. Nice. Where is your chat box? Hold on, you. Hello from Texas for a minute. You guys can see the screen okay? As in the slides? Yeah? Yes, cool, cool. All right, let's get going then. Today's session, I promise you, at the end of this session, oh, 1 second. At the end of this session, you're going to be really clear what you need to fix your communication, fix your patterns, so that you can get the relationship you deserve. Just a heads up, it is over 10 years celebration from our first Relationship You Deserve event. And because of that, if you stay to the end, I'll give you a special offer where you can get a breakthrough relationship coaching session with one of my team. True value $250. Plus, what they'll do on that is they'll fix your 3 core patterns, and they'll give you a 90-day plan to fix your relationship. I've only got a limited amount of them, obviously, because I don't have an unlimited amount of teams. So if you want one of them, stay to the end. And as I said, you'll get a free 90-day plan to back up everything that you need in this session. So again, they are real people. So if you do choose to take one of them, please make sure that that you follow through on that. Okay, so look, this is a story about a young boy who tried to jump out in front of a train because he'd lost his relationship with himself. He got pulled back, got a second chance. He went on to help other people because he'd been helped, and he went on to help a couple of people at first and then thousands of other people. He would post online, Tony Robbins, I'm coming for you. And in less than a couple of years, got put alongside the amazing Tony Robbins, got to speak alongside Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Russell Brunson, featured in Forbes 3 times and the cover of Success magazine. And if you haven't figured it out, that's me. And there's nothing special about me. What I figured out is how to heal the relationship with yourself so that you can get the relationship you deserve. And that's what I'll be doing on today's session of Stop Arguments, because again, the reason that your relationship doesn't end because of lack of love. It ends because there's no ability to manage conflict. Okay, so we're going to do that without being stuck in therapy talking about this for the same problem over and over again, without the feeling like you're walking on eggshells all the time, without repeating toxic patterns from your past, without doubting if you'll ever find a real connection. Again, this works if you're single or in a relationship, any type of relationship this works for, without, and this is so you can get fundamentally what you need, the relationship you deserve, without struggling to communicate your needs, without losing yourself, not setting boundaries, without your triggers and destructive behaviors destroying your relationships. And in less than 90 days, your relationship problems can be transformed, doesn't matter how bad you think they are, so that you can have the relationship you deserve without being overwhelmed, so you can have a life full of love. So look, right now, the overview of your problem is You don't understand why your patterns keep destroying your relationship. This will give you freedom back in today's session. I appreciate your time, and time is your most valuable resource. But this is going to give you time back, give you freedom back, because if you don't fix this, it just gets worse. So there's three core problems stopping you in terms of arguments, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to fix them. As I said, stay to the end, you will have immense clarity around what works. And again, warning, if you're not committed to getting better and you easily get bitter, then again, what kind of relationship are you going to have? If you're not willing to do the work on your relationship, and if you're not willing to commit to 45 minutes now, then nothing is going to change that. So you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be committed to getting better. Getting better, not bitter is our slogan. So if you are committed to getting better, then this session is going to be a game changer for you. Because if you're stuck and confused, right, and if you seem to repeat the same argument over and over again, it's not your fault, it's just you've been lied to, and you don't have an effective way of dealing with that argument. You don't, maybe you've had therapy for a long time, it hasn't worked because you still have the same problems, you still argue. And there's a lot of conflict information online, leaves your head blowing up with overwhelm, and content online leaves you more lost today because it's so polarizing. And a recent study said that jealousy and dissatisfaction in relationships increases with social media activity. And so this is kind of the state of the social media game. And it's a perfect representation of kind of like where we're at with social media content. Here you go. One second. One second, let me just get it up. Here you go. But in a serious note, right? The truth of the social media content today is that most content creators are creating content for views versus actually genuinely helping people, because the more polarizing they can be with their content, the more views they get, the more potential money they make. And it creates a divide over actually how to get a better relationship. And like we get consistent messages day in, day out, like your content is so valuable. And yeah, it's just not common today. Okay, so let's crack on. Because someone like Devon, his relationship almost entirely ended just because of social media content. That's the conflict that is created today. And I'll take you through that case study later. But the truth is, you don't have a training system that guarantees a breakthrough in your relationship. And you probably bought courses, been let down, and you're probably thinking, well, Ed, what makes this different is I'm actually going to show you what you need to stop arguments straight away. And we fix those three core problems by implementing the relationship you deserve training system, and it can be done in less than 90 days. Someone like Fazia healed her past abusive patterns, got the confidence to end her toxic relationship, fixed past negative patterns, fixed her communication, learnt to fulfill her needs, and got the relationship you deserve. Someone like Sam and James prevented a divorce, fixed their past problems, fixed their communication issues, got their relationship that they deserve still together. And I've saved thousands of relationships with a simple training process that anyone can apply, which I'm going to take you through today. And look, it's not loads of information. It's kind of like a flywheel like situation. Once you set it up, it just keeps on going. So if you're questioning like, is this for you? Is this the right time for you? If you're tired of arguments, or you're tired of arguments in the past and you don't want them in the future, or if you're tired of not having your needs met again, past or present doesn't matter. Like whether you're in a relationship or not doesn't matter, because if you want a new relationship, then you have to work on it. If you're in a relationship, you have to work on it. If you're tired of questioning yourself over and over again, wondering like why it keeps going wrong, and if you're tired of feeling unloved and disconnected, then this session is 100% for you. Now, people always say, well, how fast can this actually change? We've had couples change and people change in less than a couple of days. And you go, well, how is that even possible? Because, all right, up until now, you haven't been working on the root problem, right? And if we get to the root cause of which creates the habits in the first place and we change that, then you change everything. Before I take you through the actual 3 problems that are stopping you with arguments and how to fix them, just a heads up of why listen to me. Maybe some of you haven't met me before. All right, my name's Ed J.C. Smith. I am a school dropout and I struggled with my own relationship for many, many years of my life. And it was an area that I really wanted to improve. When I say I struggled at school, I got 3 E's. And so, again, not someone that was hugely educated to begin with. And so, again, if I can figure this out, you can too. All right, I tried to jump out in front of a train when I was younger. I didn't like school, failed at school. As you can see, I had a massive fallout with my dad. I didn't have a relationship for many, many years. And I got pulled back. I got a second chance. That's how I got into coaching. And I started as a coach in 1996. And as I grew my business, I wanted a partner to share my life with. And I hit the same problems that you're most likely having right now. I didn't understand my past patterns. I didn't understand why I was getting triggered. I didn't understand my bad communication. And I had no way of stopping arguments. And what I came to realize is that I had unhealed past patterns, negative patterns, past trauma. I'd adopted from my parents' bad communication, adopted their coping mechanisms, and developed a negative attachment style. This created an ability to have bad communication and inability to stop arguments. Thus, I was unable to express myself, avoided confrontation or having my needs met, and then resentment constantly building up, leading to cheating and breakups. And the truth is, I just didn't know how to fulfill my own needs. I was starting to develop negative stories around relationships, and I was on the edge of giving up relationships. And what I realized is that I was in this negative cycle. Maybe you've experienced that or you're in that right now, because the more negative experiences that you have, the more negative behaviors you create. The more negative behaviors you create, the more negative relationships you create. And unfortunately, it just keeps on spiraling worse and worse. And the problem is, the more negative experiences that you create, the more chance of failure occurs, because a relationship cannot survive in 5 negatives to 1 positive. It can only survive in the environment of 5 positives to 1. And so if you've been struggling in the past with your relationships, you start to realize, my God, we were going through so many negative experiences, no wonder it didn't work. So we have to transform that. And the truth is, I just didn't know how to have a healthy, sustainable relationship. And so after years of failed relationships, I knew I needed to change. I met a girl, I wanted it to be different. And if I never got the right help to fix this, I knew I just kept on repeating the same pattern. It would keep on getting the same result. I started to realize I was just in the same loop over and over again. So I went to couples therapy with my ex, and it had made us worse, right? And my partner was forced to go. We had vented about the problem. Therapist judged us. It didn't fix our arguments, didn't fix the communication, didn't fix past patterns, didn't fix behaviors, and we were told 5 years to fix. And the worst out of it, although we would leave the session maybe feeling a bit lighter, we still had the same arguments over and over again. And plus, I didn't have 5 years to waste, and I'm sure you don't either. So I needed to change my behaviors and my habits. And so I paid a lot to learn from the best so I could become the best. Personally trained with John Grinder and Richard Bandler, the founders of NLP. I paid them $20,000. Personally trained with Tony Robbins, $30,000. I personally trained with Dr. Tad James, Dr. Adriana James, $20,000. And I spent an absolute fortune on courses and certifications over time as I was building my coaching business, over 536,000 on my education to date. And what I started to notice, especially in terms of fixing, behaviors, fixing arguments, and specifically in relationships, right? It was overly complicated, right? And I started to think, well, there must be an easier way. And I was reading John Wooden at the time, one of the most successful basketball coaches of all time. And he was in the same situation. Everyone was overwhelmed, copying the same strategies. In his industry, they were doing 20 offensive plays, 20 defensive plays, and every player was doing 20 actions. So they were really overwhelmed. And what he did was radically different. Instead of applying more, he applied less. And so he used the power of 1. Instead of everyone doing 20 offensive plays, 20 defensive plays, 20 actions per player, right? He did 1 defensive player, 1 defensive play, 1 offensive, 1 defensive, and then 1 action per player. each player performed just one element within the play, and the players got really good because they weren't overwhelmed anymore. So they got better, not bitter, and that's how he won the UCL basketball team 28 world titles over a 30-year period. And so that's when I finally got it, because I needed to do less, not more, right? So I applied the power of one. I was clearer, focused, and free. Instead of doing couples traditional therapy where you force someone to go along, right, venting about the problem, which is never fixing the problem, and taking this huge amount of time, I thought, what if you just actually just fixed the past patterns with one simple solution, right? Therefore, you were radically improving the relationship very quickly, and only one person needed to do it, right? So instead of forcing people together, what you're actually doing, like couples therapy, is like being forced down a hole. In trauma transformational coaching, which is what I created, you're actually ripping someone out of the hole. Only one person needs to do it. You can fix the past patterns and it can be done fast. And so it's kind of like this: when you have the spark and the fuel, as in the client wants to do the work and the coach is providing frameworks to change that communication, you create a new fire, right? Versus in traditional couples therapy, when the client turns up and they're trying to spark and the therapist is giving no actual frameworks, no behavioral change, no habit change, all right? So therefore, nothing happens, there's no fire, right? And so if you don't fix past patterns, if you don't fix communication, if you don't understand how to fulfill your partner's needs, then you get a destructive negative relationship cycle. And so off the back of that, you fix past patterns, fix communication, fix the ability to understand needs, you get the relationship you deserve. And so I created this process around this specifically, trauma transformational coaching, and it's what my PhD is currently in. All right. And so that's how I went from just a couple of clients, all right, to our first live event, to a couple of people turning up, to like more and more people turning up. And the reason they did is because it just worked so quickly. It worked faster, got good referral rate, and because they were able to really tangible understand the fact that they had actually had a result, then more people told more people about it. One year we did over 23 different countries. I went from helping a couple of people to thousands of people. I post online, Tony Robbins, I'm coming for you, and in less than 4 years got put alongside the amazing Tony Robbins. That's how I got to speak alongside Gary Vee, Russell Brunson, Grant Cardone. And then people started going, can you train me, Ed, in trauma transformational coaching, which was crazy. So I started training other coaches specifically in that. One of the biggest problems that all coaches have is clients. So we just gave them hours so they could get really good at it. And that's how we had thousands of people come through. We got thousands of positive reviews with the word love in. Love, 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 love. Our clients literally love what we do. And we won an 8-figure business award from ClickFunnels, which is crazy because I got three E's at school. And so again, it's just the amount of clients that we've been able to serve at a high level. And that's how I got to speak on TED, Forbes, Thrive, Inc. magazine, and Influence. Wrote a #1 Amazon bestseller in business and motivation, and a bestseller in how to actually get clients, and a bestseller in the skills to become a certified expert coach. And my new relationship book is coming soon. We've certified over 21,000 coaches today in the last year alone. So I'm told it's one of the largest certification programs in the world. And we've got over 28,000 positive reviews from clients generated results. And that's how we've been able to be featured on some of the best publications online today. And I've helped some of the best people in the information space. So that's why you should listen to me, because I'm walking the walk, talking the talk, and the girl that I met, I'm still with her. So I realized that I had to heal my past patterns, fix my communication, understand how to fulfill my needs so that I could stop the destructive cycle. That's exactly what we'll be doing on today's session. So why do relationships not work? Let's get down to it. What's the core reason that why relationships don't work? So 29% trust, growing apart 33%, money 36%, cheating 40%. The biggest reason that relationships fail, 67%, is communication. So why do relationships not work? Bad communication. But what is bad communication? Arguments. And what is arguments made up of? Past patterns and habits. Okay? And so specifically, all right, when you don't create a safe space, then arguments occur, labeling, judgment, fixing. So these are the three core components we're going to be going through today. Think of an argument as like a tennis match, right? It goes back and forward, right? Back and forward, just like people are watching the problem. And so that's exactly like couples therapy, right? They go back and forward with the problem, venting about the problem, going back and forward. Two people are forced to play. Then the game goes on forever, watching it without improving it. So what we're going to do with TTC is very different. We're actually going to take hold of the ball, right? So you stop the argument. And then only one person needs to do it because only one person needs to hold the ball. The game ends, the results are much quicker because it immediately happens, and you change habits and behaviors rapidly. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's session. I'm going to be outlining exactly what you need to do that. So look, problem number one, you can't stop arguments and you've got bad communications. If your arguments repeat, if you're seeing silent treatment, or one person is giving in and resentment is building, or there's eyeball rolling or walking away in an argument, simple conversation starts to an argument, or one of you has to be right, or both of you, or you're stuck in blaming, or you're avoiding topics because they trigger, or conflicts can last days, or connection is starting to die. That means that you can't handle communication, you can't stop arguments. And so remembering the 67% of relationships fail because of that. So look, there's four key predictors that are unconscious to a breakup in terms of actual patterns specifically that most people don't know. 78% defensiveness, all right, criticism 80%, 85% shutting down, and contempt at 93%. So if you have these patterns, right, this is because certain behaviors are built up over a period of time, and now you have unconscious patterns that are ruining your relationship. Now, all of this, right, specifically defensiveness, criticism, shutting down, contempt, can be fixed, right, by healing your past patterns, fixing communication, and understanding needs. Again, it's not the frequency of fighting that's the issue, it's can you repair, right? Again, remembering that a relationship cannot survive if it's got 5 negatives to 1 positive, or it can only survive in a 5 positives to 1 negative. And so you must be able to manage conflict, otherwise it's never going to change. Otherwise you've got no hope of ever getting a decent relationship. So your communication problems are hidden within your attachment style and control your reactions. Now, most people know their attachment style, but they don't know how to change it, or they don't know the habits that have created it. And again, if you don't fix the patterns that create the habits, then just knowing your attachment style is not enough. Your attachment style comes from how your parents dealt with your emotions, right? You use the same patterns as they do. Okay, and it's kind of like attachment styles are like the bird is to the air. If you said to the bird, how's the air? The bird would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Because they're just born into it. Like you're born into your attachment style, right? The same as the fish is born into the sea. If you said fish, how's the water today? Is it cold? Fish would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that's the same as your attachment style. Just by knowing your attachment style doesn't mean you change your behavior, right? What happens with your attachment style is it slowly boils you like it does a frog, right? The frog doesn't know it's in boiling water, neither do you know that you're in a destructive pattern, because you still, all right, although you have awareness around it, it's not enough to actually change it, okay? So there's 4 key attachment styles: anxious, avoidant, fearful, and secure. Anxious comes around because parents are inconsistent with needs, fear of abandonment, breakups, and cheating will create more anxious attachment styles. Communication, over-analyzing, constant reassuring, judgment or blame, behavior controlling, trust issues, eggshells, people pleasing, emotions unworthy of love, anxious, overthink, and stop seeing. Do you remember that? Like, have you ever had that time where you are feeling really good, feeling really motivated, and then you have like a disagreement with your partner because you have no ability to actually understand the habits of retraining an argument? You feel awful afterwards. Like you lose all your motivation. You can't be bothered to do anything. Now, if you keep on doing this, it's just a matter of time before you're going to break up. An avoidance style comes from your parents being emotionally unstable, right? They shut down your emotions because they shut down their emotions. Thus, you start to learn that you can't rely on people. You become self-reliant and you push people away. Communication, you find it hard to express yourself, find emotional conversations uncomfortable, pulling away when things get too close, fear of commitment, blaming a partner, it's not me, reactive most of the time, and find it hard to actually emotionally relate to people because you've shut down for so long. I don't know if you've ever had this when you're saying, for example, like to your partner, you're having this like big emotional expression and they can't even acknowledge your feelings. They don't even understand how to hear your feelings. And when you don't feel heard and you don't feel understood over a period of time, then disconnection dies. Now, we've been able to get to a stage where whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. There's so many universals from content online that, oh, men can't handle emotions, or women are more emotional. That's not true. It's got nothing to do with female or male, right? It's just an inability to understand the patterns and an inability to understand the habits that actually create it in the first place. Your third style is fearful. Parents have been unpredictable. There's neglect or an unsafe environment, and thus you start to link being unlovable. Communication, one moment craving reassurance, the next pushing your partner away, constant push and pull. Self-sabotaging when things feel good, swinging between clingy and distance, intense fear of abandonment. Again, like, I don't know if you've had this situation where you're just over analyzing your behavior and you're over analyzing your partner's behavior, and that in turn becomes the problem and the reason why you broke up in the first place. And again, it's because you've got a whole load of fearful attachment behaviors that, again, just because you filled out a quiz online doesn't mean you actually know how to fix it, right? And 80% of attachment patterns in childhood will persist in adult relationships unless the patterns are broken. So your communication problems are trapped in your attachment style. The consequences of not retraining your attachment style is that you'll start to worry about your partner losing interest, struggle with trust, over text or call to check on them, scared of opening up or expressing how you feel, self-sabotage, seeking external validation, get stuck in breakups, quick judgments of mistakes, stuck it has to be a certain way to work, no forgiveness, and thinking a new partner will be easier. And the truth is, this is what most people do in arguments. And this is a true story. A Japanese husband had gone 20 years without speaking to his wife since she upset him, even though they continued living together as a family. Their son eventually contacted that Japanese TV show to help reconcile them. The husband admitted that he'd been jealous of the attention Yumi gave their child and he felt unimportant. After 20 years, the husband finally spoke to his wife. Now, you might be going, well, I didn't do 20 years, but you definitely did too long. And anything more than a couple of hours is far too long. And what that does is build resentment, and resentment is the reason that people end up cheating. Now, most people go, well, they cheat, like he cheated, she cheated because of that. And it's not because of that, it's actually the resentment. There's so many things that built up the reason that they actually did that in the first place. And so here's what most people also do, right? They either shut down, they avoid a situation, and then they spend their life in eggshells, or they accept they've got a dead relationship, they cheat, and then swap partners, right? And so this is the world in which we live in, the breakup, lies, swipe left culture, where people think it's easier just to find someone else. And I'll explain how this process goes. Every single relationship starts in the honeymoon, the most flexible period. It's where the most intimacy is, the most excitement. But the truth is, you don't know each other that well. And so we're kind of pretending to be these people that we're not, right? And then tension builds because these patterns start to occur, right? Because of these past experiences that we've had. And here's a very vital step. If we don't fix it here, then it all goes downhill, because the next stage is a full-blown explosion. Again, if you don't fix it here, it goes to the next stage of denial, which means that you either stay in denial, pretending you don't have a problem, and pretending that it will just get better when it won't. Or what happens in most cases is that people go, well, it must be easier to get a new relationship, and thus the honeymoon period starts again. You go, let's get someone else, right? And you just get, well, let's go and get this flexible, process, right? And the truth is, if you don't fix those issues, they repeat and get bigger. Again, you can't retrain your attachment style through books and podcasts. You can't retrain your attachment style by talking about your past in therapy. It's not going to make any difference. You need a new way to communicate with feedback, so you actually change it and you sit in it and bring awareness around it. ChatGPT can't do that either. So the fix is we're going to retrain your behaviors, fix your communication, and thus become a secured attachment. When we say secure, you're open, direct, honest. When you feel something, you express it. There's no mind games. Expressing your needs calmly, no triggers, no arguments. The behavior you're both you're both comfortable in closeness and independence. There's no fear of abandonment, confidence in being loved, ability to regulate emotions in disagreement. So the fix is, once we understand your attachment style was just the first step, then we take you through an assessment so you understand the behaviors that are creating that. Then we show you how to self-regulate with your partner so that you understand how those behaviors affect them. Then you understand how to transform your partner's behaviors with a new framework of communication. Without that, the whole thing falls down. Then you understand how to rebuild trust to reconnect afterwards. And the truth is, 89% of clients who attended the Relationship You Deserve 12-week program were secure attachment by week 6 to 8. Sometimes it can be done quicker. Someone like Nan, the investment for the Relationship You Deserve coaching with Ed was so worth it. Within 6 weeks, I got my return on investment. When I completed the attachment assessment, I'd become secure, something I had never achieved. The program is fantastic. Someone like Hollis, massive breakthrough, stop arguments in less than 5 weeks. Pam got the relationship she deserved in less than a couple of weeks, or at least a massive breakthrough. Honestly, Ed, I feel so different. It's so much easier to be with people. I interact in a whole different way. My relationships have changed, and I know I'll meet the right one soon. So summary problem number one, Bad communication means arguments repeat, silent treatment kicks in, one person gives in, eyeball rolling, walking away in an argument, simple conversation start arguments. One or both of you has to be right, stuck in blaming each other, avoiding topics because of the trigger. Conflict lasts for days, connection begins to die. The fix, what we do is we figure out exactly what the attachment style is, the behaviors, all right, then self-regulate your partner, then validate your partner, and then rebuild through emotional connection. So that's how we go from arguments at bad communication to fixing that almost overnight. Problem number 2, unhealed past trauma, past negative patterns. Now, if we fix your communication style, then we need to know where those habits have come in the first place. Does that make sense, right? So those habits that have cultivated over a period of time in your past relations are the reason that you choose wrong partners, are the reason that you shut down in arguments, are the reason that you push people away, are the reason that you create problems to prove that you're lovable, the reason that you create self-sabotage, the reason that you over-control, the reason that you panic when your partner falls away, right? Get triggered during arguments. The reason you get angry or frustrated over small things, create drama to test them, never fully trust their commitment, and you keep emotional distance to protect them. Now, most live their life suffering when they don't need to, right? Because first of all, let's get down to trauma. What is trauma? Because sometimes people say, Ed, I don't have any trauma. And some people believe they don't have trauma because they associate it with these big events, etc. Now, another word for trauma can be past relationship baggage, past relationship negative behavior, toxic behaviors, negative coping mechanisms, red flag behavior. Right? Unhealed trauma, right? Unhealed childhood trauma will repeat until it's fixed. Past negative patterns changes brain structure, which can be reversed within the right training process. Unless you heal your past patterns, it will increase your problems in your relationship. And these, again, are verified studies, consistently proven. This is what's currently out there as the most up-to-date research, right? If you've ever felt like your emotions weren't safe to express, or you just felt like you were shutting down, ever felt like it was unheard, or you had to be perfect, then that means, right, that you've got these past patterns. Like, for example, I was told boys don't cry, and that enabled me to be someone that was shut down emotionally for a long period. Trauma and negative patterns shape our relationship behavior because trauma isn't just about the extreme events like war and abuse. It's about the small things that build up over time. Trauma and negative behaviors come from any experience that stressed you out. Micro trauma is just as damaging as big T trauma. For example, there's 3 categories: micro, small, and big T trauma. When I say tiny, micro, I mean like stop crying. You know, if you was told to stop crying as a child, feelings of dismissed, right? Get over it. It's not a big deal. Not getting affection or emotional support, feeling like you had to be the strong one, growing up where your emotions not discussed. I mean, raise your hand if your parents literally had no idea of how to manage your emotions, or raise your hands if like your parents had no idea to manage their emotions. If they can't manage their emotions, then how can they manage your emotions too? And so that's how the behaviors start. The more negative behaviors you have, right, the more negative experiences that you have, the more negative behaviors you create, the more negative relationships you create. Small T trauma is less obvious, right? Rejection or abandonment, bullying or social exclusion, harsh criticism or emotional neglect, feeling unseen, unheard, or unimportant. Again, the more negative experiences you have, the more negative behaviors you create, the more negative relationships you create. Now, major trauma is abuse, accidents, loss of loved one, violence, partner leaving you, cheating, breaking your heart, etc. Again, more negative experiences you have, more negative behaviors you create, more negative relationships you get, right? And so it all starts with these small things. Emotionally, people get shut down, and this is a very, very normal pattern, right? In today's world, again, very few people are actually talking about this, right? The first feelings of not good enough come maybe, your partner, sorry, maybe when you're younger, you had this emotional experience and your parents weren't there for you. And so you get the first feelings of like not good enough. And then the first event where your feelings were not understood. I remember one of my clients talking about they realized that it was like when their pet died, and they realized they had this emotion that was not heard by their parents. First relationship ends badly, they learn to be emotionally shut down. Then there's a fear of expressing emotions, and then they're shut down emotionally, bad patterns start emerging. And later on in life, right, they're trying to, they're no longer realizing that they're so shut down, they can't even emotionally connect because of all of these fears built up. And so everyday signs of unresolved trauma are easily seen in communication, behaviors, emotions, and body. Overacting to small things, assuming negative intentions, difficulty expressing needs means you've got past negative patterns. All right, if you're checking your partner's phone location, creating unnecessary arguments, avoiding intimacy or commitment, means you've got past pattern issues. All right, emotions, if you've got intense anxiety when your partner is away or feeling unworthy, all right, of love, pushing, pull, easily triggered, right, means you've got past negative patterns, right? If you're feeling in your body tension, headaches during relationship stress, or sleeping problems when you're feeling insecure, racing heart during minor disagreements, stomach issues when discussing feelings, it means you've got past patterns. Conflict shouldn't be this difficult thing, but the problem is because you've got so many patterns that are holding you back, it's creating a lot of anxiety in your body. So if you don't fix them, they repeat, or you pass them down to other people, or you get sick, or a negative future is increased because of it. And so again, it starts with these emotional first feelings of not good enough, and then there's an event in your life where feelings were not met. Maybe at school you were left on your own or you were bullied, all right? And then your first relationship ended badly. There was some sort of emotional shutdown where you were ghosted, or maybe you've been ghosted several times over. Then thus you create this fear of expressing your emotions, and then you're shut down emotionally. Bad patterns start to emerge and they start to increase more and more. And so the truth is, when you haven't fixed your past pattern, it's like being held in quicksand. Most just try to get on with it, pretend it's not there, yet your triggers give it away. The more bad experiences that you have, the more held back you are. And so your brain holds on to these negative experiences unless you fix them. And your body holds the score. All right, it can see the difference. You can see the difference between being in sadness versus being in happiness in your body, right? And again, I had the same things. All right, I had some feelings first of not being good enough compared to my brother, etc. First events where our feelings were not understood. I remember my pet rabbit being being taken away from me, and my parents just not even understanding how to deal with my emotions. First relationship ended really badly. Fears of expressing my emotions cut in, and I just kept on pushing people away until I fixed those patterns. And the truth is, again, if you don't fix that baggage, you'll be carrying it with you for the rest of your life. Until we break free from it, will you create a new reality? So again, the fix here specifically is we've got to acknowledge and understand where those past patterns come from. Then we express the unspoken truth and start clearing those situations out, because all of those past patterns were created with someone else. There was someone else there, another parent or another perspective that you've given it from someone else. Right? And so it can, regardless of whether your parents are alive or not, you can heal all your past patterns from your parents. Then we forgive and rebuild, and then we create a new awareness to depower the triggers, and then we work on practicing and repeating until the trigger's there. And it only takes sometimes 2 or 3 times, and it's good to go. Now you might be thinking, my past patterns and my trauma is too big. Someone like Devon, his dad had killed his mum. I took him through our coaching process where he cleared his past patterns. And here's what he said, top left. Okay, I did it. I drove 2.5 hours to see my dad. I was crying the whole time I was there. I was crying because I realized all the pain and suffering that I'd spent, right, was all because of what I was holding on to. And it was all about to change, and that I was truly wanting, and that's what I wanted in my life. Was so accessible if only I was willing to do the work and be honest with myself. Now, it takes some time to get you up to that stage, but as you see later on this, what a relief. Honestly, reading him the letter was the easiest part of the whole experience. Getting over my internal block was really the only thing holding me back from having a good relationship with my father. And I guess that's what the coaching process is all about. Now, what happened as a byproduct, his dad killed his mum, was imprisoned. He did the first process with his stepdad, who he had built up all of these negative situations with, and he released his dad from that. In turn, he releases himself from that, which fixed his issue within his partner. Plus, he also did it with his real dad and went to prison to do it. And so you might be thinking, wow, I mean, can that really be possible? We've got over 1,798 positive breakthroughs with that process, and we're always adding towards it. So again, like it's a very simple coaching framework that takes you through how to fix all your past patterns. Someone like Carl let go of 30 years worth of trauma. Claire, massive breakthrough, honestly lost for words. So the summary problem number 2, past patterns create bad communication, and thus why you choose wrong partners, you shut down in arguments, push people away to avoid hurt, create problems to prove unlovable, self-sabotage if going well, over-control to feel safe, panic when your partner pulls away, get triggered during arguments, get angry, frustrated over small things, create drama, all right, to test them, never fully trust their commitment, keep emotional distance to protect. The fix, all right, we acknowledge and understand where it comes from, right? We express an unspoken truth, so we heal ourselves and others by understanding how to let go of all of that. Then we forgive and rebuild, create a new awareness to depower the trigger, and then we practice and repeat till it's gone. That's how we take unhealed past trauma, negative patterns, and heal past trauma and fix patterns in relatively short period of time. Now, the last element is a very important element, because if you don't fix your past patterns and you don't fix communication, what you create is labels and judgment. And people don't understand how bad this is because they are in it, right? They are the fish in the water, they are the bird in the sea, bird in the air, right? And so if you're stuck in fixed labels because you believe a relationship needs to be a certain way, or you believe it's their problem, or you believe that you don't need to take ownership over it, what happens is that you don't understand your partner's needs, you don't understand how to re-communicate, you don't understand their values, you don't understand love languages, you don't understand how to validate, listen, you don't understand how to make people feel safe and heard. You're too busy judging, right? Arguments become resentment, contentment sets in, love dies, shut down in arguments start, needs not being met, partner spends time avoiding, cheating, relationship breakdown, destructive labeling begins. And the truth is, it's because all of these judgments have now become present. It's like personal, it's what people personally believe about a relationship. And you don't have these things when you're like 9 years old, 10 years old, right? Pre-puberty, you have this very pure way of how people connect. And as as you grow up in life, you create more negative experiences. The more negative experiences you have, the more of these judgments that you end up having, the more limitations that you end. Things like, maybe I'm just not meant for love, I don't have the time, I always attract the wrong people, I get too picky, it gave me the ick, dating apps don't work, maybe I should just settle, I can trust anyone, I can't trust anyone, love always ends in pain, I'll never find someone who understands me, I'm just going to focus on me, forget about love, it doesn't last, the good ones have all been taken, I'm better off single. Those sorts of things. Now, I've collected hundreds and hundreds. I'm not going to read out all of them, but I'm going to read out a good section so you can understand how detailed they are, so that, again, once you hear them, you can break free from them when you realize that you've actually got them. Now, let me define judgment label: a fixed cognitive bias or belief that locks a person in a limited perception, preventing openness or growth beyond that viewpoint. This is very important. Pay attention. Now, judgment labels stop you from seeing partners or relationships as they actually are. Instead, you see them through the story you've already decided. Have you noticed, maybe you've got a friend, they keep on attracting bad people. They keep on attracting a bad relationship. They keep on attracting bad things because they start to create that reality within their head, and we can change this. The negative cycle, more negative experiences you have, the more negative behaviors you create, the more negative relationships you have, and it keeps going down, the toxic cycle. Right? And again, if you're spending time with people that also have toxic thinking, then you become more toxic. Why? Because who you spend time with is who you become. So the 6 people you're hanging around with, if they're all positive, great, but that's not the truth. Most of them are negative today because they're also watching negative content, having negative relationships, and thus their thinking is negative. So if you're spending, if your 6 people core around you are in unhealthy relationships, are or not particularly supportive, or don't understand how to validate, or don't understand to hear you, then again, they're adding to your negative cycle too. The key factors that create labeling today are education, content that you consume, right, which is, again, on social media is hugely polarity, like always trying to put men against females, right? The support, the style of support versus if you're having traditional therapy versus transformational coaching is very different, right? And the environment who you spend time with. So let me take you through a very powerful study they did on how disempowering labels are. And we live in a disempowering label world today, so much so people don't even know they're in it. It's called the Rosalind effect. Rosalind was a famous doctor. Okay, he sent 8 normal people to mental hospitals in the USA. The goal was to get them admitted to a psychiatric ward, and all they had to do was say, I'm hearing the word empty. They had no other symptoms, and then once in, they would act normal, right? Now, they're shocking results. All diagnosed were mentally ill, right? All of them were diagnosed with mental illnesses, 7 labeled with schizophrenia, 1 labeled with manic depressive, no doctors suspected anything. And unfortunately it got worse because as the 8 people acted normally inside, eating meals, chatting, taking notes, the staff labelled everything as evidence for further illness. Writing notes became compulsive writing disorder. Being polite exhibits pathological need to please. Flushing toilet, ritualistic behaviour. And so the real patients saw the real truth. 35 patients across hospitals spotted the false patients, saying, you're not crazy, you're a journalist, you're just doing some checking up on the situation. The doctors and nurses were blinded by the labels and couldn't see the truth. Only way out for the 8 was to agree to taking medication. The treatment was antipsychotic drugs. 2,100 pills were prescribed. They didn't take any. Average length of the stay was 19 days, shortest 7 days, longest 52. Rosalind published in the science magazines and people went crazy. A prestigious hospital challenged Rosalind, send us your fake patients, we'll spot them. He immediately agreed, and the hospital proudly declared 41 imposters over 3 months. Now here's the turning point. No one was ready for the plot twist. because Rosalind never sent one single person, proving his point again. Labels distort reality for doctors and patients alike. If a doctor can't tell the difference, how many labels and how many lives are destroyed because of a label that's not real? And that's why couples therapy is so destructive, because they can't see out of labels. I remember going with my partner and I got judged and labeled. I remember being labeled as dyslexic, ADHD, all of these things, which I no longer have, right? Because what people don't understand is that labels were created to understand behavior and change it, not to identify people. Right? Therapy institutions today create new labels each year that enslave more and more people. And so, you know, TikTok fuels a culture of self-diagnosis. Vast amounts of inaccurate content is misinterpreted as diagnostic criteria. They've got no idea what they're talking about, yet they're just spouting information to get more views. And what's interesting is China just recently put a ban on all influencers being able to talk about health, wealth, relationships, finance, any of these really important areas, right? Unless they've got a degree level education now. They're now getting fined, and you're like, this is about time, because there's such bad information out there. Your communication problems come from how your parents' behaviors affected you. Labels, beliefs, judgments come from how your parents showed you love. And this is the world in which we live in, is that people think that like narcissism is like this, is this label that you cannot change. This was a recent comment on one of our videos. Narcissists can literally not change because they have a mental disability, which makes them unable to. They genuinely can't, just like a blind person can't see or deaf person can't hear. It's a disability, not a choice. Now, this is particularly, and I checked out her profile. She's not a doctor, right? She's not qualified in any sort of coaching, right? And she's just basically got this label that narcissism is a behavior that can't change, right? And so I replied, Sharon, thank you. It's not a disability. It can be modified through TTC coaching. Blindness cannot. They're very different. You can't link it to blindness, right? Again, right? Because most people don't understand just the basic. You cannot survive when a negative relationship has 5 to 1. And so therefore, off the back, if you're in a relationship that has 5 negatives to 1, then what happens is both parties start to label each other and say, you're a narcissist because of this, actually understanding the patterns that created the breakdown. Does that make sense? Like, everyone has a narcissistic score, right? I take our clients through a narcissistic behavior score. At the beginning, right, they tend to be a little bit higher, and at the end, they're always much lower. If you do it in your 20s to 30s, you're going to have a much higher narcissistic score than if you're in your 40s and 50s. Not necessarily, but generalization as a whole, right? So look, do this quick exercise for me. I'm going to read these out, right? All you need to do is stand up or sit down if you feel like this is you. Okay, when I say this, so your brain gets an understanding to if you hold this limitation, right? So you're going to stand up if it's you, if not, sit down. So for example, I'm literally just going to be standing up. If I'm reading it and it isn't you, hold on, let me just read these out. So look, quick example. I'm not attractive enough to find love. If you think that's you, stand up. If it's not you, then don't, right? But if the next one is I'm too old to find love, if you think that's you, then stand up. And if you're already standing up, then sit down. Now, what's important is your mind gets awareness to actually how many of these that you have, right? And because people go, well, I can't find love, and then start blaming apps and say apps don't work, right? Apps work, they just put people together. The fact that you don't understand how to communicate means that we can actually fix that. My auntie met over 28 different men over a year because she just wanted to increase her ability to meet people and go on dates. That was it. She doesn't have any of those limitations because we've worked on that stuff. But so many of you got all these limitations that stop you, and thus you end up, on your own, lonely, and that's not where it's at. Okay, so look, it's really powerful. Take a moment. If you're driving, obviously don't do this, but if you're at home, let's go for it. Okay. So look, I'm not attractive enough to find love. I'm too old to find love. It's too late for me. If I open up, I'll just get hurt. No one truly wants commitment anymore. Love is just a game and I don't want to play. I always mess things up in relationships. People always leave me in the end. 1 second. Let me take that down so that we can be pure together. Okay. Just listen to it. I have to be perfect to be loved. Stand up if it's you, sit down if it's not. Our relationships are too much work. There's no such thing as real love. If I show my true self, they won't love me. I'm too broken for a healthy relationship. I have to prove I'm worthy of love. If I get too close, they'll see my flaws and leave. Love is just a distraction from my more important things in life. If you don't love me exactly how I want, they don't love me at all. If only I'll only be happy once I find the perfect partner. If they cared, they'd always put me first. I don't deserve love. Men are all cheaters. Women are all cheaters. They're only after one thing. They just want my money. They can't care about me. Love is only for lucky people. I'm not one of them. If it's not perfect, it's not worth it. I have to play hard to get, or I'll lose interest. I need someone to complete me. Men are narcissists. Women are narcissists. People only want me for what I can give them. If I let my guard down, I'll be taken advantage of. It's too late for me to find love. Real love doesn't exist anymore. The past relationship repeats itself, so why try? I have to settle because real love isn't possible for me. People only change for the worse in relationships. If I'm not constantly interesting or exciting, they'll lose interest. Relationships hold you back from reaching your full potential. If you don't make me feel secure, I should just leave. I can't be happy in a relationship unless I'm in control. If I love someone too much, they'll take advantage of me. All the people I like are out of my league. All the good ones are gone. If someone really loved me, they'd never hurt me. Dating apps don't work. People always leave me in the end. If they really love me, they would always just do what I need. I have to be perfect to be loved. Relationships are too much. I'm unlovable. There's no such thing as real love. If I show my true self, they won't love me. I'm too broken for a healthy relationship. People always change. If they really love me, they'd never need space. I have to sacrifice my happiness to make a relationship work. If I have to work for love, it's not real. Being vulnerable is dangerous. Love always fades. People just settle because real love doesn't last. I'm too independent. The kind of love I want doesn't exist. If they don't text me back straight away, then I'm not happy. I can't be myself and still be loved. I have to be needed. They like Instagram. They like liking Instagram pictures, which means they don't love me. People only want relationships for what they can get out of them. No one will ever choose me over someone else. All men are cheaters. All women are cheaters. If they love me, they should know what I'm thinking. I always ruin good things. If I let someone in, they'll eventually leave. I need I need to test people to see if they really care. Arguments mean the relationship is failing. If they don't make me happy all the time, they're not the one. If I have to ask for it, doesn't count. They should just know what I need. Needing reassurance means I'm weak or needy. If they love me, they would never look at anyone else. All relationships end badly, so why bother? If I don't feel a spark right away, it's not meant to be. I have too much baggage for anyone to love me. I'm better off single. Once the honeymoon phase is over, the relationship is doomed. They're probably just pretending it to like me. Love should be effortless or not real. If I forgive or letting them walk over me, I'm always attracted to narcissists or emotionally unavailable people. If I prioritize love, I'll lose my independence. I need to play it cool, to not show too much interest. All men and women are the same. They just want to hurt you. If it's real, we won't have any problems. Sexual attraction can never last. All right, what that means, again, is that if you're hearing them, it means your brain's created limitations. It means that you're no longer seeing relationships as they are. It means that you're not going to be able to see outside of those fixed views. Remembering what is a fixed view. It's a fixed cognitive view that distorts you in a fixed view, and it so you can't see things as they are, right? So, look, why? So based on that, people go, well, that's why I went to couples therapy. But couples therapy doesn't work. Process is talking about venting, about fixing the problem, doesn't fix it. Labeling therapy indoctrinates you into a world of labeling and blame. Attendance therapists believe you should force two people to do it at the same time. Time goes by and nothing changes. You still have the same regression. Behaviors, the therapist is not trained to change behaviors. Ed, what if I don't have a relationship right now? Is it still worth working on? Of course it is, because it means you'll be better for the future. Ed, what if I have a relationship, my partner doesn't want to do the work? Then come with us to do what we do, because you need one person. Like most situations, what I realized over time is that there's always one partner that doesn't want to go to relationship therapy, and they don't have to, right? It doesn't matter what kind of relationship, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship, we're all humans at the end of the day. So look, the fix is transforming your behaviors to fulfill your needs. Once you understand where all of your behaviors come from, all of your past patterns come from, every single one, right? What we take you through is all past patterns, your ability to understand your emotions, what that actually impacts on you and others, your ACE score, right? Your how you create emotional safety, your attachment style, your conflict style, your communication style, your needs and value style, your love languages, narcissistic score, self-sabotage score, and then we train you on the habits to transform all of them. So by the end of 12 weeks, you're not the same on any of those scores, right? And so when you understand yourself and your partner, you stop reacting emotionally and you start responding strategically with love. Someone like Maria, my partner, just started adapting to my new behaviors without me forcing him to change, right? James was almost held back by his wife, but Ed, my biggest issue was my wife. She was so skeptical about doing the program, but supported me doing it. By week 6, she was asking me what I was learning because she noticed how different I was. Sarah's whole relationship shifted. Julia got the relationship you deserve. Summary problem number 3. All right, when you don't fix communication and you don't fix past patterns, then you start creating labels that keep you stuck in a fixed view. So then now you don't understand your partner's needs, don't understand how to communicate, don't understand how your values, don't understand actually how to transform through love language. Now people have read the book Love Languages, but doesn't mean they're actually doing it or understanding it differently. All right, not understanding how to validate or listen, not making them feel safe or heard. And thus arguments become resentment, contempt sets in, love starts to die, shut down and avoid arguments, and partners start cheating, relationship breakdown, destructive relationship begins. So again, the fix will transform all your behaviors. All right, so your ability to understand needs is completely transformed. Right, so the overview of your problem, there's 3 core areas. You haven't fixed past patterns, you can't fix communication, and then you don't understand how to fulfill needs. Thus you have destructive relationship pattern. What we can do is fix past patterns, fix communication, and fulfill those needs so you get the relationship you deserve. Now, I think this is an important note because I know lots of people have taken therapy, and therapy in of itself, I remember as a trained therapist, I know the difference between coaching and therapy. And what's sad is that most people don't understand that. And so let me take you through this, because not only will a therapist tell you it's going to take you years, it's also that they don't actually make you feel any better. And I think in today's world, like you can't do something and feel worse, right? That's just tragic. Hold on, let me see where we're here. 1 second. Right, here you go. Listen to this. This is a famous UK actor who went on therapy, took too long, and also it didn't make them feel any better. Oh, whoops. Hold on. Here you go. So, I mean, the sad thing about this is that most people don't know the difference, and they haven't experienced that. And, like you might feel lighter, but if you're still having the same patterns that create the same problem, then it's actually a complete waste of time. And I know, like that's tough, and I get that. But you've got to understand, I know the difference between, as a trained therapist, I would not be associated to venting, because it just, in today's world, look, a lot of institutions are going to keep you there so that they can make money off you. And I'd rather our client is fixed so that they don't have to come back. And that's where I was like, my first real conflict was, I'm not sure whether therapy actually focuses on fixing the client so that they don't come. And that you're talking about a whole institute of people that just want to keep people stuck and paying for something that doesn't work. So you don't have to struggle for your whole life. You don't have to spend the rest of your life in therapy just understanding yourself. Understanding is not going to do it. Why? If understanding alone was to do it, then why do you still argue? Why do you still have internal conflict? Why do you have issues within yourself? Why do you have any relationship problems? because understanding and knowing is not enough. Here's the difference between traditional therapy versus trauma transformational coaching. The focus of traditional therapy is to explore and vent on past trauma, versus what we do is heal trauma, create actionable change for the present and the future. The process of traditional therapy regress to reliving an experience repeatedly, versus guiding exploration, cognitive behavioral change, assessments and interventions to change the habits. Right? The outcome is temporary relief or insight with traditional therapy, versus measurable behavioral change and empowerment and relationship repair, actually moving someone forward, and can be done rapidly. The approach to trauma, talking, venting, labeling behaviors, versus structured assessments, cognitive behavioral change, creating new patterns. Client responsibility is therapist-led, is completely led by the therapist, versus client-led together is co-created in TTC, ICF standards for autonomy and accountability. The time frame can be years in traditional therapy versus rapid in TTC. So again, being stuck in a hole, right, venting about your problems is not going to get you out of the hole. You actually have to be ripped out of the hole. You actually have to fix the patterns, and it can be done with just one person. What we do is create the client wanting to change, right? With frameworks, we create the fire. Without frameworks, there's no fire. And so here's some of the quickest benefits. Only one person is needed. We transform all negative behavior and all relationship patterns. And when some people, how is that even possible with one person? Because when you change the steps to the dance is no longer the same. One person learns new steps, partner naturally adjusts to their movement, rhythm of the dance changes, new movements occur, old patterns can't continue. So here's a typical example before TTC in an argument. A partner A criticizes partner B, right? So there's the defensiveness. And then partner A criticizes even harder. This is before TTC. And then partner B withdraws. And that's the argument pattern. And it's repeated over and over again till they can't be bothered to argue, and they just sit in denial or they break up. So arguing, blaming, shouting, saying things you don't mean, name calling means turns to shutting down, silent treatment, ignoring, pretending, dead relationship, cheating, needs not met. Versus after TTC, partner A criticizes and they respond with the SAFE framework, which is a different communication stem. Criticism from A doesn't land anymore, right? Which means new communication occurs, new pattern occurs, because you've actually got a framework to respond, and you're removing the triggers that were in the past. And so arguing, blaming, shouting, saying things, name calling, violence ends up with healthy disagreement. There's nothing wrong with an argument. It's just people don't understand how to manage it, and then they label it as this huge thing because they don't understand what happened in the past. Mutual respect occurs, connected and deeper in love than before, right? So again, TTC is way more effective than couples therapy because it focuses stay on one person, right? There's clear action steps, right? Deeper individual work, no partner triggers. It's safe exploration space. There's natural integration with your partner because your partner's not forced, right? There's an organic adaptation at their own pace. Some of the common questions are, won't my partner resist the changes? Changes happen naturally. Partner adapts unconsciously. There's no forcing, right? TTC focuses on your growth. Your behavioral change creates new possibilities. Partner has space to adapt naturally. When people say, what if my partner doesn't want to change? They will naturally shift as you shift, right? Can one person really make all the difference? TTC behavioral change requires only one shift. Your transformation affects the entire dynamic. New patterns emerge naturally and last. What if I'm single, I don't have a relationship yet? Well, you fix your destructive relationship patterns for good, right? You avoid years of bad experiences. You will naturally become more attractive. You will find it much easier to meet and connect, and you won't get stuck in judgment or others. We also do group as well as one-to-one. And the reason being is because mirror neurons in the brain fire when you see someone else doing something. When someone else breaks through, your brain can actually see it as a possibility for you, and it's proven that people push themselves more effectively in a group setting. So not only have you have group, sharing struggles, normalized emotions, pattern recognition, collective energy, plus one-to-one, deeper healing, deeper understanding, emotional safe, and accountability equals faster results. Plus we put you in a cohort which is specific dates, which means in today's online space, people think they can just do anything at their own time, and that's part of the problem, because then people don't use it, right? And so what we started to do is put people in set cohorts, right, so that they have a set time frame, and then we're actually measuring that change every single week, and they can see the change every week. Their partner can see the change every week, and it's cognitive behavioral change from every single week, from every single assessment. So it gets much faster. That's how Devon had these huge results. That's how other people, because of they were going through that, also had the same results. Someone like Amit, who came from having a divorce to finding his ideal relationship and having a baby, right? And so what you get is your past patterns won't be a problem. Your communication is fixed. You'll easily understand how to solve arguments. You'll be able to connect with your partner regardless of conflict, and you will get the relationship you deserve. Ed, what's the investment to fix this? People are always like, well, how much is it? Look, the TTC training process is the fastest way to heal past patterns, fix your communication, fulfill your needs. The majority of relationships fail not because they're falling out of love, because they don't understand how to manage conflict. It's got nothing to do with if you're good looking enough, your personality, your value, your luck, and your personal belief. You're just copying the wrong ways, and you don't have a proven relationship system that guarantees you success and the right training environment. So the biggest investment is not actually to do this, it's just focus, as Bill Gates and Warren Buffett says. If we focus on fixing that, right, fixing past patterns, fixing communication, fixing needs, you'll get the relationship you deserve. And it's unlimited potential because it will affect every area of your life. The happier you are in your relationships, the happier you are in your life. So look, heads up, if this is something that you want to work on, here's your next steps. One factor is against you is time, because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Sometimes we get guys that have waited too long and the relationship is dead, right? Don't wait so long that your relationship dies, or you die inside, right? Because you don't believe that you can get it, and you get more and more limitations. So if you're in this age category now, between 20 and 65, and you're not in the relationship that you want, right? And you're not getting the relationship you deserve, then this is for you, okay? Because what happens when you get to the end of this is game over, you're dead, and you live in regret. And regret is not something you want to live. The pain of regret is a lot worse than the pain of discipline, right? Why isn't everyone successful in their relationships? Because they don't get the right support. They let fear stop them. All successful people fast track by getting the right help. No one can do it on their own, me included. We pay to avoid mistakes, to get through the fear quicker, get the results quicker. Most let fear stop them, they say, and the majority do not breach their comfort zone because they want to feel comfortable before they breach it, which doesn't make any sense, right? They don't call it fear. They'll say things like, it's not the right time, or I need to think about it, I'll do it later, I'm not sure if it'll work for me. Again, what kind of relationship would you really want if you can't do the work, right? You don't want to have all of those limitations in your head, right? It is unstable and short if you don't have a proven system to get the things that you want. So here's what I'm going to do for you. If you're tired of not having the relationship you want, and you're tired of just being alone and not being heard, etc., if you're worried about the future and you want this sorted, if you're not committed to getting better and you want to live in your comfort zone, this is not for you. If you are committed to getting better and you want to step out your comfort zone in the safest way and you want to transform life, then this is 100% for you. If you'd like me to personally help you, here's what I'll do, right? As part of our 10th anniversary, all right, I'm going to give you some limited spaces to get a relationship breakthrough session with one of my team. We charge $250. They're real people, okay? We don't have huge amounts of them because we don't have an unlimited amount of team, and we're going to give you them for free, okay? And then on that, they'll fix your 3 core patterns with you and give you a 90-day plan to fix your relationship that's tailored specifically to you. Now, if you want to work together, they'll talk to you around if it's the right fit for you to work together on that plan. So you get a choice to get help on the plan, or you do it on your own. It's up to you. Regardless of whether we work together or not, you walk away with a 90-day plan to fix your relationship, so that you get the relationship you deserve without the hassle, the stress, the uncertainty, the pain. Again, who is this for? You've got to have integrity to show up, because we can't help you get a relationship if you don't have any integrity, right? You've got to be motivated and committed to do the work. We can't help you get a relationship if you're not motivated and committed. You must be willing to put the work. We can't force you to do anything. So if you're not serious about getting a relationship you deserve, then don't do this, right? All right, what will happen in your session? Diagnose the 3 patterns stopping you, right? 90-day plan to fix it. And we've got 15 spots only, right? So if you go to this link, freecall.uk, and you type in freecall.uk, not www, just freecall.uk, right, you'll go through to a booking form and you see exactly how many are available. Now, let me put you the link here as well in the chat box so that you can get that if you want. Again, please, if you're someone that is not serious, these are real people. And like, I get people online today, and like, what kind of person would you be if you're like, you're not going to show up? You book something and you don't show up, and it's like, then you want help in your relationship. It's like, we can't do that. So like, be someone that follows through, right? And if this is your first time of actually following through, then look, let's do that, and we can help you. And regardless of whether we work together on that plan or not, regardless if you join a coaching program or not, right, you'll walk away with a 90-day plan on exactly how to fix your relationship and the 3 core things that are designed specifically for you, because you're unique, you're individual, and so then you'll get an individual plan. So the link is in there. Put your details in, and then you can see exactly how many are free. Okay, so as I said, freecall.uk, or click the link in the chat box there, and you can get a session completely free. Like, if you're trying to get this thing in one go, it's really hard. That's why we're going to break it up. So that's what we'll do on that session. Okay, again, you've got two choices now. You can do a lazy choice, which means a mediocre life, or motivated choice equals a better life. Regardless of whether we work together or not, you will get a better life. Lazy choice, do nothing. You change nothing, nothing changes though. Your love account, I don't know how loved you were feeling in the last 30 days, but it could be full of love, like it was at the beginning, right? When you first had that relationship that really worked. Look, the current way to get the relationship you deserve is not working. That's why you're here. If you don't fix your past patterns, they will continually break you. How many years is it going to take on your own? The truth is, you're never going to do it on your own, because you'll type in ChatGPT outside with you, and it'll make you take no responsibility. Motivated choice, jump on this now, get a free session, and get a plan, and let's get going. Again, how much love and fulfillment did you feel in the last 30 days? Because the biggest cost is in your life is not actually tax, it's not knowing how to get the love you deserve, the relationship you deserve. If all this did was give you a plan that worked, would it be worth it? Of course it would, without all the stress. If all this did, Ed, what about if my trauma was different? If all it did was actually get rid of some of your past patterns, and you can understand what you need, regardless of whether we work together or not, would it be worth to book a session? Of course. If all it did was give you the skills to relate to each other, so that you could start to connect a new relationship, would it be worth it to book a session? Of course it would. If all it was just stop worrying so you didn't have as much anxiety, right? Would it be worth to book a free session? Of course it would. If all it did was allow you to see emotional freedom and know what you need for that 90-day plan to actually create it, would that be worth it to book a call? Of course. So just book a call, right? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You need to learn how to stop arguing and also fix your past patterns. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Now, okay? So if you don't do this, what are your other options? You could just listen to more confusing content online and get triggered, right? And the truth is, I've helped thousands of people just like you. Again, what kind of relationship do you want if you're not willing to put the work in? Here's 5 types of people to avoid, right? Don't be that overwhelmed and too overwhelmed, they've got too much doing. We'll get you clear. Don't be that, oh my God, like a sparkly syndrome, book it and then forget to turn up, right? Blame a client, oh, I tried something like this before, it didn't work. Like, loads of times in a relationship, it didn't work out for you. Doesn't mean you stop, right? Compare a client, you're not going to get a better offer. There's nothing to buy, it's free. If it's the right fit, we can walk to you about that. We've got payment plans if that's the right fit. Don't be a perfectionism client. Oh, I'll be doing this when I'm ready. All right, we do it by getting ready. Okay, copy this client. Just get the right support. Follow the process. Do as you're told. Do the work. Stay focused. Don't get bitter. Get better. Get the relationship you deserve. You might be asking, why am I doing this? Because I am looking for people who really want to make a difference in their relationship, because the relationships will change the world. So in turn, we spread a powerful, positive message. Someone gave me my life back that day. I made a promise that no matter what happens, I'd never give up on my dreams to help as many people as possible. And so if you're watching this right now, you're in the right place, right? Together we can make your dreams a reality. Warning, this is not going to be up forever. When it's done, it's done. How fast can you get results? What you're doing now doesn't work, okay? So what don't you want anymore is the answer. All right, if you're tired of arguments, then book a session. If you're tired of not having your needs met, book a session. Tired of questioning yourself over and over again, book a session. Tired of I'm feeling unloved, book a session. Does it take a lot of time? 45 minutes. What if I'm single? Yeah, it will still work you out a plan. What if I'm in a relationship? Doesn't matter, we'll still work you out a plan. What time commitment per week if we work together? It'll be an hour per week if we choose to work together or not. Action time, 10-year anniversary, celebrate our 10-year anniversary. Limited spaces, normally charge $250. You can get them for free. 90-day plan on that session, plus fixing your 3 core patterns so that you get the relationship you deserve without the hassle, stress, uncertainty, and pain. Who is it for? You've got to have integrity, motivated and committed, must be willing to put the work in. We can't help you if you're not any of these, right? What will happen on the session? Diagnose your 3 core problems, 90-day plan. That's how we roll, okay? Any questions? Let me know. What questions do you have, gang? Why do you have to struggle with such a problem? Where is no respect there or no relationship? Sorry. Why? I'm not sure that. Gabriel, what's the question? I'm not the same person as I used to be years ago. You can't believe we suffer with or without. Hey, there's tons of you here. Do you have any specific questions? Hassan, your pleasure, no problem. Any specific questions? Guys, any particular reason you wouldn't book a... I see tons of you have. What would be the reason for you not to book a session? Again, regardless of whether we work together or not, you walk away with a 90-day plan to fix your relationship. Any reason you wouldn't do that? Any questions before I gotta go? Okay, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming to the session. Appreciate you. And as always, no matter what happens, never give up on your dreams. All right. If I don't get to meet you personally, I wish you the best out there. Relationships can be the most beautiful place. It can also have the most pain involved as well, because you're exposing yourself, and it's an area where people find it really hard to express what they truly need. But I am here to tell you that you can completely get rid of all those things that have held you back. You don't need to suffer. All right, have a great one. Thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. On the pro, Ollie, yes, I do the sessions every week. Ollie Brown. So you get live sessions with me every single week as part of the cohort. We have a cohort starting in December. We have about 2 places left, I believe. I do a live session every single week, so I'm personally coaching you. They're fixed numbers, so it's not like super big. And they also get one-to-one coaching as well. Any other questions? Karen, they can walk you through, if you book a session with the team, they can walk you through that. They've got different price points depending on whether you take, how many coaching sessions you take. So it's dependent on what your budget is. It's very, very affordable. It's not super expensive. It can be as about like as less as about £35 a week. It's very, very reasonable. Michael, but again, it can be a little bit more if you wanted more one-to-one support as well. And we've got payment plans as well. Michael, pleasure. All right, guys, anything else? Any other questions before I go? Those ones that are like, just wait right till the end. And then I was just about to leave in that. Rebecca, book a session. The cost is variable, depending again on how many one-to-one sessions you would like. So it can be as little as £35 a week. And it is a 12-week program with myself and one-to-one sessions. So we have payment plans. I love the scared. Do we how much is? Look, I tell you what though, it's much cheaper than a divorce, and it's much cheaper than generational pain. It's much cheaper than rejection. It's cheaper than being alone. It's cheaper than not feeling loved. It's cheaper than feeling unlistened to, unheard, and disconnected, not only from yourself. So yeah, I need notes. Site, can you send me a teacher? Thanks, great lesson tonight, Hassan. Can you please? Anyone else wanted to get some last seconds just before I go? Anything else? There's so many of you here. I don't understand why you're here and not asking questions. Always fascinating. All right. Anyway, if I do get to meet you on that, I shall very much look forward to it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. As always, no matter what happens, never give up on your dreams. See you soon. Karen, thank you. Olia, see you. Bye-bye.